Welcome to Cinema Savants. He's Todd Vandenberg. I'm Rob Steele, and boy, do we have movie news for you, and some TV stuff, and some lawsuits, and other things, because they all happened, and they're all related to the world of entertainment, which is what we're here to tell you about, including the Oscars, which are going to go hostless because Kevin Hart has a Twitter account, apparently. Personally, okay, Oscars have never done a thing for me, but every year, invariably, the Oscars have run long, so people needed to cut off their speeches and whatever. Well, here's the way to solve it. Get rid of the host. We don't have to listen to a monologue. Get rid of the skits. Just have, hey, you won an award. Come tell us about it. I'd like to thank everyone on the planet. Thank you. And now you won an award. It's kind of an Oprah thing, isn't it, though? You get a car, you get a car.
Everyone gets a car. Well, sadly, they're not going to do away with the skits, which is what they were away with.
Oh, no. Why?
And as I agree, they can completely go without a host, because what they're going to do is have the presenters step up and do that. So you'll cut out the middleman of a host. Introduce the presenters. They can just walk out and say who the hell they are. I mean, that's not that big a deal.
I mean, isn't there always that announcer over them anyway? And now here's Tom Cruise and someone you've never heard of to present the award for best diddling in that movie.
Wink Martindale. He'd be awesome. Yeah, you could do that. I imagine how this whole thing started with it going on and becoming bigger and bigger is because Bob Hope was the host of the Oscars for about 16 centuries. And so he would do his shtick, and that got to be what it was about. So then hosts had to come out and do their thing instead of say, here is so-and-so. But, I mean, I like the Oscars because because of the moment you'll have, like when Tom Hanks won for Philadelphia, because of the speeches. Okay, you get something that's really touching, really cool. You'll get bizarre moments like the guy who ran across the stage naked. Evans said, well, there's a man who's not afraid to show his, I believe he said something about he's not afraid to present his shortcomings. So, there are great moments in the odds, which a lot of things don't have anything to do with the films themselves. So, or fun things like announcing the wrong damn film won Best Picture. So you never know what's going to happen.
Whoops. Yeah.
Yeah. So, the host is fine.
But you see, for me, that's a, you know what? I can watch that the next morning on Good Morning America or, something.
Very true. Absolutely. Because, of course, it will be all over the interwebs, stuff, the cool like that. Quite true.
So let's see. Moving on to Netflix, which is not eligible for Oscars, but is going to win them anyway. Or, I don't know, whatever. They're being sued because this is America, and that's what you do, is you sue people. They're being sued by Choose Co., which is a company I'll be honest, I had not heard of.
I had not heard of the company either.
I've heard of the books.
So?
I know they did. They're being sued because they published the Choose Your Own Adventure books. And they're upset with the Black Mirror Bandersnatch movie because at some point they said, ooh, it's a Choose Your Own Adventure thing. And, the concept of that has been around since, time began, I think. It's called Dungeons and Dragons. It's a role-playing game. Anyway, just in book form. No, I remember when the books came out, and they were huge back in the 70s and 80s.
Right.
We're not in the 70s or 80s anymore. And there was a fairly massive gap. Apparently, they ran through 98, which I didn't know. But they kept getting, fewer and farther between. It used to be like one a month would come out, if not more. And toward the end, here's the one for 1992, period. Although I did find out they did the original Star Wars trilogy as a Choose Your Own Adventure. I may look those up because I'm curious. But Choose Co. bought the rights for Choose Your Own Adventure in 2005 and has been publishing, let's see, they've published, 40 of them? Maybe a bit more? It's hard to tell because the list bounces. The list I've got anyway.
4 years since they took over. Something like that.
Yeah. Still. I mean...
I think in Bandersnatch, they didn't base the video game on Choose Your Own Adventure book. So it was just a reference to that kind of style. And yes, they use the term choose your own adventure. But I think when this goes to court, if it goes to court, and it probably won't, because Netflix will just probably look at this as a nuisance and pull some money out of their pocket and say, here, go away. Like they did with Church of the Devil. Yeah. I think this is going to wind up more just like the generic, like Kleenex. And says on Kleenex no matter what they're blowing their nose on. Kleenex is a term, but someone says, oh, could you pass me that box of Puffs Plus, please? Got tissue. So, it's
a refrigerator.
And it's like, okay, fine, give me the 25 mil, and they'll probably settle for $5. I'd be happy because it's probably more than just code 8 since they bought the damn thing.
I'm going to go Xerox this report, and
yeah, exactly.
It's become one of those things, and I know the company that makes Choose Your Own Adventures, the original one, was not the only one doing it. There were other companies, and admittedly, I don't think they were as good. Says the 5th grade when they became popular, and ooh, I like these. How about the knockoff brand? And you go, ooh, these Cheerios don't taste as good. That kind
the other part of the lawsuit, which I think is hilarious, is that the film Bandersnatch is so dark that it has tainted the brand.
Yeah, I read that.
I'm pretty sure that the kids reading your crappy Choose Your Own Adventure books that you're okay, I won't say that. But they're not literature, okay? So let's just calm down on that. They're probably not watching Bandersnatch. Stop with the crap. That is one of the most stupid things. That alone, they should stop. Or at least throw out that portion of it. Like, look, I have 7-year-olds watching Bandersnatch, and it's going to ruin the Choose Your Own Adventure, and they're going to be terrified to turn the page because, oh my God, it may be a book that they're reading, and that's the end of the story, and the Choose Your Own Adventure they're reading. It's like, get out of here with that crap.
I mean, yeah. I'm looking up something real quick, just so I can get this correctly. That would be something similar, I'm guessing, to, let's say, Warner Brothers suing Friday the 13th franchise because they're ruining all the Warner Brothers movies, right?
Yeah.
This kid watched a Friday the 13th movie, and it's just ruined all of Warner Brothers. Shut up.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
That's not that. No. Oh, and speaking of no's, The Rock, who was a big name wrestler, now a big name movie star, and that's why I'm putting it in this show. There was apparently an interview that came out with him in the UK where he went off on snowflakes, or at least the term that people are using now they're so sensitive about this stuff and how snowflakes are ruining the country and
snowflakes millennials, to be specific, allegedly.
Right. So he took to Twitter and went, I don't know where they got that from, but that interview has been completely made up. His quote is, "The interview never happened, never said those words, 100% false. If I ever had an issue with someone, a group, community, or a generation, I'd seek them out, create a dialogue, and do my best to understand them. Criticizing ain't my style." Now, when I first read that, I thought, boy, does that sound Donald Trumpish. But then he used words like dialogue, and I went, no, that can't be Trump. It's a more than a 2-syllable word.
Exactly.
Do you think The Rock's brand has been ruined by this fake interview?
Probably. But I do think that's a basis for a lawsuit, and I don't think he's going to sue them. Because
I don't think he's going to.
All he has to do is say, nope, wasn't me. And that's it. It's done. But it doesn't sound like something The Rock would say.
No.
Doesn't it more like, and why would he do it for, some obscure...
Well, it's apparently, if I understand correctly, and I might not, it's the equivalent of the Inquirer in the UK.
Oh, okay. Like I said, some obscure journalistic source is like, you go on the Rock, would you be on the Today Show? And if you want to blow up the millennials that they're snowflakes, I think you would do it like that if you're The Rock, and instead of seek out some rag and have an interview with them. Which, again, the UK source of the Inquirer and an article which is completely fabricated. Could that be possible? Yeah, it seems like that's entirely possible.
Who knew? Moving on then to IMDb, who is teamed with Amazon, or maybe owned by Amazon. I'm not sure which. They launched Free Dive, which sounds like something you would do in a swimming pool. But it's not. It's a streaming service because we don't have enough of those, except this one's free. Yay. And it's got a bunch of movies that, I'll be honest, I've forgotten about most of the movies they put on. We've got, Dracula and Gattaca and Last Action Hero and TV shows like The Bachelor and Heroes and Quantum Leap. And I haven't had any interest in watching any of this stuff.
They have Fringe.
Oh.
They have Fringe. I will say, I love the selection that they have overall. I mean, considering that it's free.
Right. Considering it's free.
There are two big problems with this. One, you cannot search to see what's available on Free Dive. And I checked their FAQ, and it clearly states that is not a capability that they have installed yet. So
How could you not have installed that?
And it's from Amazon, which I'm pretty sure they let you search for what you want to buy, so I'm not quite sure how they couldn't figure out how to do a search IMDb that they own, and they've owned for a few years now. And IMDb, yeah, you can search on IMDb. That's kind of the whole point. So I don't know how the hell they decided to launch a streaming service that doesn't allow you to search for what the hell you want to watch. That's kind of basic, isn't it? I mean, other than the fact that you have something to watch, you kind of need what to watch. The way you find what you watch is just to look at their splash page, and you look through, here are movies of the 80s, movies of the 90s, our picks, blah, blah. I went through the list of everything. Well, from what I could find, there are 383 different things available now. Includes TV series, so obviously you might have 5 seasons worth, so you could have 80
Quantum
episodes.
Leap was on for a number of years. So.
Yeah, exactly. But counting Quantum Leap and Fringe as 2 titles, 383 titles available for a streaming service. That's not a lot. And some of those are IMDb originals, so that doesn't count. It's just people talking like us. It's like, I wouldn't go to a streaming service and it's like, oh my God, Savants is part of it. I'm going to check that out. It's like,
thank you.
But I don't know.
And yet.
That's a big draw. Yeah, I mean, we'll go on IMDb streaming, sure. But I demand that they have a search function first. And maybe add, 10,000 titles. I mean, seriously, you're going to launch a streaming service that you can't do a search on, and you have 383 titles, of which are repeats because it's up on multiple lists. Dramas.
Just 300 titles. I mean, you can just scroll through that like, no big deal.
It doesn't. Yeah, the sad thing is, it doesn't take long to look through their entire catalog. Now, if you enter a title in IMDb, it will pop up and show, this is available for streaming. But so at least they thought to do that. I tried it. It is ad supported. No more than what is on Hulu or anything like that. It's not tons of ads. It's not some kind of egregious problem. It's cool. It streams just fine. The quality is excellent. But seriously, you launched with less than 400 titles, and you can't even search for what you want. I mean, it's almost like this is a joke. Eventually, I think this could be great. But right now, I don't even know if this is Free Dive beta. I mean, good.
Could be better. Could be better.
Yeah, it could be tons better. I just don't understand why they launched now. I mean, it's clearly not done.
No.
Very strange.
It sounds like it's actually better done than the DC service. But we'll get to that on Friday's show.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah. See, foreshadowing. No, it's a plug for the Friday show, is what that is. Well, let's see. The American Society of Cinematographers, chronomenologists. No, cinematographers. That is just entirely too long a word. And if I'm tripping over it, don't give it to the president. All right. The American Society for Cinematographers came out with its list of top 100 movies with the best cinematography of the 20th century. And I've already got issues with the list.
I know you.
Just in starting with one of the films actually came out in the 21st century. I'm just saying, if you're going to be consistent about it. there's only two movies that I'm really going to point out, because I could point out a lot of them. Yes, all of them. Not that I've seen all of them. I've heard of a lot of them. Have good or great cinematography. Although, I'm wondering, Last Tango in Paris is on this list. And isn't that kind of, what was that, Marlon Brando's porn movie?
Yep.
Cinematography was not high on the list of things I've ever heard about that movie. Butter was, and if kids, don't look this movie up.
Yeah, don't. Yep, exactly. Yeah, Butter was on the list.
And actually, just for surprising purposes, and this movie is going to come, a new version is going to come back later in the show, Dune, which no matter how boring you found the movie, it had some beautiful cinematography in it. Dune is not on this list, which I'm very annoyed by.
I can tell. The top 10 for those that top 10 is Lawrence of Arabia. It always shows up on these lists. Yes, it's gorgeous. Blade Runner, Apocalypse Now, Citizen Kane, The Godfather, Raging Bull, The Conformist, Days of Heaven, 2001: A Space Odyssey, and The French Connection. So,
some of these movies are the best sedatives I've ever seen. They are the most beautiful looking things to fall asleep to. I'm knocking 2001 and Blade Runner again. It's my job. I'm just saying.
According to the list, Francis Ford knows how to get cinematography. He's the only actor who has two movies on the list. Just saying.
Metropolis is on the list, which we covered a couple shows ago. And I'll give it that. It had some beautiful cinematography in it, especially for 1927.
Yes, especially for it. Exactly. Yeah, and I know which movies, at least movies you're talking about as far. They're very beautiful sleep aids. But again, this isn't about the quality of the film at all. It's how it looks. And yeah, all of those films do look really, really good. I wouldn't say I was going to say, but to me, The French Connection doesn't look amazing, but it is incredibly well shot. And of course, the main thing of that is because of the incredible the car chase scene, which is also the best car chase scene ever. Even though Baby Driver, which is one of my favorite movies, basically is a car chase scene, still.
Broken up by the occasional, let's go to a diner scene.
Yes. Diner scenes were good. Anyway.
So, speaking of things that are beautiful, allegedly, neither of us have seen this movie yet because it's not out yet. James Cameron has put out Alita, Battle Angel. I keep wanting to call it Battle Angel Alita, and that's wrong. It's backwards. Anyway, not the point. Cameron says that if this is a movie that is so beautiful, you have to see it in the theater. Otherwise, you won't get the full effect. Well, that happens a lot. With a lot of movies, you don't get the full effect unless you're in a theater. Now, there's an issue with this because right now they've got computer programs that run how this movie is tracking, how good an opening is it going to have. And Alita Battle Angel is projected to have an opening of $16 million its opening weekend. For a movie that cost $150 to $250 million, they're not really sure what the budget finally was. That's not a good opening.
Yeah,
Conversely, on the same day Alita Battle Angel comes out, so does Happy Death Day to You, which is tracking for a $24 million opening on a far smaller budget.
Probably 16 million.
Probably.
Yeah. Well, that's sad because the trailer looks really interesting. I'm looking forward to Alita Battle Angel. And we'll see what it does.
We'll see.
As long as it stays in theaters long enough for you to see and invest in the company. So I'm cool.
Let's see. Something else that's coming out soon. We finally got a first look at The Watchmen, kind of. HBO put out a trailer for here's what's coming up in 2019, and there were a couple little clips from Watchmen that showed up. One of them, although it looks, you can look at it and go, that's from the Watchmen series, or it could be from that Tom Cruise BDSM movie that he did with the masks. It could be either. Hey, don't look at me like that. It's just that's how it came out.
Is that what this is?
don't know. And there was a glimpse of Rorschach, who I didn't think was even going to be in the series. Glad he is. And actually, I have a question for you concerning HBO. Does HBO actually show movies anymore? Because they kept saying, here's all these series that are coming, and rattled off a list of like 50 of the things. And I'm like, HBO used to show movies. Do they anymore? I don't have HBO. I don't know.
Yeah, I haven't had HBO for probably about 15 years, so I would run one to ask. But I mean, that's only develop your own content. I mean, that's
I used to watch HBO while reading Choose Your Own Adventure books, but
I mean, it's all about developing content. So I'm sure they have the occasional movie spring like Netflix does, but yeah,
it's just an odd thing.
It is home box office. I wonder if anyone at HBO calls themselves home box office. Well, that's even a thing. I wonder if they legally changed it just to HBO.
Yeah, a lot of people KFC. I don't think know it stood for home box office anymore.
Just like KFC, they don't even have to give you chicken anymore. They just have to give you KFC.
You know, when I lived in Germany, we had a KFC, and it wasn't on the base. It was actually in Darmstadt, which is just, that was the most utterly bizarre thing. A Pizza Hut, which we also had, I got because, you know, pizza. It's a pizza, it's a hut. I get that. But we were driving through downtown Darmstadt, and all of a sudden there's a KFC, and you go, do people here even know what Kentucky is? We're on the wrong side of the planet for Kentucky. Although shortly after we moved there, it got changed. The name changed to Darmstadt Fried Chicken. I'm just passing out the information. I don't make it up.
They should watch them.
Actually, something you sent me this week, or a couple days ago, concerning Democratic Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who doesn't just dance like they did in the Breakfast Club. And if you want more on that, listen to the FWAT show from this past week. Yes. She quoted Rorschach on Twitter and attributed Alan Moore to, I mean, wow.
She's being criticized for being outspoken, which of course is one of the things that got elected to begin with. Personally, I don't agree with everything she says, but I'm glad that she's outspoken because someone other than a congenital idiot needs to be outspoken these days. So her own party is trying to get her to tone down because she's saying things that might not be that popular at first, which is okay. And you know, she did the was like, no, you don't know that. I'm here with you. You're stuck in here with me, and attributed Alan Moore, which shows she knows not just something she heard or vaguely remembered. So that is absolutely beautiful. So, and I think that's basically the truth. Stuck in there with her. So, yeah, that's pretty cool when a member of the Congress quotes Alan Moore.
You don't get that very often.
No, not at all.
Let's see, what else did we have here? We've got, speaking of strong women, there's possibly going to be a Lady Sif TV series on the Disney Plus service. Lady Sif being from the Thor series. She was in the first two, not in the third one. So apparently she wasn't on Asgard when it done blowed up. My question is, though, the actress who played Lady Sif, whose name has escaped me for the moment,
Jamie Alexander.
Thank you. She also does a TV show called Blind Spot, which, as far as I know, is still going. So
she's going to be a busy lady, maybe. I would really, really hope. I mean, I'd be thrilled. Series, that would be awesome. And really need to keep her because she is very cool. Apparently, Blind Spot is still going.
And my wife watched. She's watching it now.
They have 80 episodes. They're getting close to the sweet spot of the 100 episodes you need to go into syndication heaven. Yep. So, yeah, they're not going to can it with just 20 shows to go. Like I said, I guess they'll be busy. Look what you know, it might not start in 2020 or something like that, or they may recast, and if they do, I'm sure it would be fine because Marvel hasn't really screwed too often. Mark Ruffalo is doing just fine as Bruce Banner, after all. So,
yeah,
but I really hope they would her. She's cool. I like her.
Yeah, my thing is, there's a lot of properties that Marvel's got that they could use for series is why not, grab a character we haven't seen yet, and I mean they're getting all the stuff back from Fox.
Yes, they are.
Which is like 5 billion more characters, which
almost just the comic alone, X-Men.
Good news, everyone. Fox has canceled all of their Marvel-related movies, including Gambit, Doctor Doom, a Silver Surfer movie that I hadn't even heard rumors about yet, but that was in the announcement. Really? X-Force, Dark Phoenix, and New Mutants are still coming out because, well, New Mutants finished filming years ago, I think, at this point.
They're still doing reshoots. They'll probably do reshoots up till the day it airs, which is, what are they talking about, August now, I think?
Yeah, which, come on, just put it out already. I think that's good news.
Save it for Halloween. That's very good. I didn't even know they were doing a Doctor Doom movie, which, no. I mean, considering how badly they screwed Doctor Doom the first 2 shots they had at it, don't do that. Just leave it alone.
Yeah.
And I'm glad to hear that finally the Gambit movie has met its death knell, at least at Fox.
It's about damn time.
I'm tired of hearing Gambit, quote-unquote, news every 6 months for the past, 7 years?
Something like that.
Jeez. So, yeah, that's great news. So Fox has, after this year, Fox will no longer screw up whole property. So,
well, I mean, that's my thing.
Well,
that you
they'll screw up Deadpool because they don't screw up Deadpool, thankfully.
Well, I don't think Ryan Reynolds will let them screw up Deadpool. I think that's exactly what it is. You had actually brought up that Dark Phoenix has a trailer now, which somehow I missed. But I looked it up, and it looks like it would be a good movie. Mm-hmm. However, I'm really looking forward to when Marvel takes over completely and reboots the X-Men the way it's done in the books. That's all I'm asking for. I don't think I'm asking too much. And Marvel literally wrote the books on it. They've gotten the rest of the Marvel movies pretty much right so far. Yep. I'd like to see the X-Men on the screen correctly, finally. Damn it, you bastards. Come on.
But which X-Men, like you said, they've written the books. There are so many versions of the X-Men at this point. In the comics.
Actually, what I would like to see them do is start with a big screen version of the story they did in Giant Size X-Men #1, which was the issue where they switched from the original team of Cyclops, Jean Grey, Angel, Iceman, and Beast. Mm-hmm. Those are your original X-Men. You'll notice Wolverine was not on that list. Giant Size X-Men is when they brought in Wolverine, Colossus, Storm, Nightcrawler, who was it? Banshee, Thunderbird, and Sunfire. Sunfire left at the end of this book, and Thunderbird was killed like 2 issues later. Not the point. That's a good starting point to bring in the characters that everyone recognizes.
That is a good starting point. I can see starting with just the original, and then
I wouldn't object to that either.
And then tease, like you said, of the giant annual for the second movie. The original theme was very, very interesting, very compelling. I'd like to see the not furry blue version of Beast just for once because it would be fun because he was damn ugly, and it would be interesting to see that version of Beast. Beast looks much better as a blue furry dude than dude was a track. Very interested to see what happens with this as it moves down the road. I haven't seen any projection. I would guess maybe 2022, 23 maybe before they tackle that. Who knows? Because they seem to already have kind of a full plate. But definitely, and like you said, they have a pretty good track record of not screwing up their characters. So
keep it up.
This could be a lot of fun. And how many X-Men themes and arcs are there that don't have to deal with Dark Phoenix? Like hundreds, probably.
That wasn't the biggest. Okay, it was probably the biggest storyline they've done. It was a storyline. It's been around for coming up on 500. No, it's over 500 books now. Yeah. Not in the original series because they ended that. It gets complicated. Speaking of complicated, Fox is remaking the series 24 for Japan. Really. It's going to take place in Japan. It's not going to be the first black president. It's going to be the first female prime minister. Other than that, I expect a lot of the series to be the same. And what annoys me is I see that they're getting praise for doing a first female Japanese prime minister. Except, they're the first show that's ever had a female Japanese prime minister ever. No one's ever done that before, except Ghost in the Shell standalone complex back in 2000. Thanks for paying attention. It was only 20 years ago. I mean, I'm just saying.
You can't expect wonders from these guys. Sorry.
Thanks for counting. Moving on to Criminal Minds, which is another series that has been around for, I think, since Standalone Complex, pretty much. Criminal Minds has been renewed for its 15th season, except that's going to be the last of the seasons. They're going to end on their 325th episode, which I think is that's a big number.
Yeah, I haven't seen the show probably in a couple of years. Every once in a while I'll get on a kick and I'll binge, not maybe a whole season or something. It's always been an interesting show. I would hope that their serial killer come back and kill them all for the series finale. That would be kind of fun. So
bring back Mandy Patinkin, let him do it.
That would be really cool. But we'll see what happens.
My name is Inigo Montoya. I'm killing off this series. Prepare to die.
Although I do have a friend who hated the show because he said it's so unrealistic. And yeah, we know the FBI doesn't send in their profilers, and typically 24. I mean, they'll usually send a profiler, and they're on the side, and they're just giving advice, and they're not just solving the crime in a matter of hours.
Profiler.
Yeah. If you want to watch something that's more accurate, then watch Mindhunter on Netflix, which is a really, really cool series about the beginning of that unit in the FBI. And yeah, they don't solve crimes in a matter of hours, for sure.
No. Something else that's been axed this week, Star Trek 4, or whatever Paramount was going to call the next Chris Pine, Chris Hemsworth, Chris Hardwick has got to be put in there at some point. But Star Trek 4, Be Gone. The prevailing theory is that S.J. Clarkson, who is supposed to be producing and directing, has moved on to Game of Thrones. But they talked about canceling this before that because Chris Pine is not under contract. Chris Hemsworth is not under contract. So Star Trek 4 is dead, at least for now.
At least for now. And I have a feeling if they don't relaunch, I guess pun intended, if they don't get this started within a year or two, then we're going to see yet another reboot at the movie theaters, which is a shame because I do like the Chris Pine universe of it. And one of the big sticking points is that, and what it was initially reported, is that Hemsworth, who would be coming back as James T. Kirk's dad, because of course he was in the first one,
right?
And Chris Pine, that they wanted more. Like, no, they just didn't want to pay cut from what they'd already contracted to make. And the studio said, we didn't make enough with the last one because the plot wasn't as good as it should have been, so we're you guys pay cut. And it's like, it wasn't their fault.
I liked Beyond.
I liked it too, but it didn't make as much money as it should have, so they're going to go with a lower budget. They want the actors to be part of the group that takes the bite, and it's like, I'm pretty sure you guys have enough money to go ahead and honor your contracts, so no, this is kind of a screw you, so I totally support Hemsworth and Pine. And if it ends the series, then it ends the series. They shouldn't take a pay cut just to continue the series and make a lot more money for Paramount. So if it ends, it ends.
Yeah.
Sucks, but yeah, I think that's kind of unconscionable to say, well, we know we going to give you this, but because we made bad decisions, or it's just the vagaries of the market. For whatever reason, it didn't make as much as they had hoped. Like, well, you got a contract, honor it. If you didn't want to pay them that much for the next movie, you shouldn't have put it in the contract to begin with.
Just saying.
Yeah.
They did announce, though, that the Jean-Luc Picard series is going to be taking place after the Star Trek Nemesis movie, and that means we are returning to the main Star Trek universe, which I'm very happy about, because I liked that Star Trek universe. So it's not like we're getting rid of Star Trek altogether. We're going to have the Picard series. Discovery comes back. next week, I think. And then there's apparently 2 animated series on their way. So there's plenty of Trek. Don't panic.
That's a lot.
And I warned you earlier in the show that this movie would be coming back by the end of the show. And here it is, because that's where it is in the script. They did a bit more casting for the new version of Dune. And I like this. If you happen to know the characters, Stellan Skarsgård, whose name I'm probably mispronouncing. I've never been able to do good with his name.
You nailed
it.
Anyway,
you know who I'm talking about.
I totally know what you're talking about.
He's been cast as the Baron Harkonnen.
I saw. That's pretty awesome.
I love that. Although, let's flip that and make it bad news. That's the last story I'm reporting on this new version of Dune, because I found out that they're not even going to start filming until late next year, like November. So, you know what?
Not exactly.
I thought they were starting filming like in, March or something. No, not till November. Screw you then. Stop putting out bits and pieces. I'm done reporting on your movie until you start filming at least. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's a little much.
I'm going way to hell out there. No, we're done. Speaking of being way out there, Margot Robbie was cast this week. And I do not understand the purpose of making this movie. She was cast to portray a live-action version of Barbie.
Yep.
Now, this might just be me, but and you're gonna, Rob, there's got to be more women in movies, and I'm with that. I really am. But here's my problem with making a Barbie movie. Wasn't Barbie a negative stereotype for women for the millions of years since it came out? So why are you making a movie out of it? Is that just me?
I had the same exact thought about it, and I still tend to think that this is kind of an odd decision. But supposedly, this is going to be about turning the history of Barbie head and making it a movie about empowerment and et cetera, et cetera. So we'll see if they're able to pull this off. I guess what'll turn on is whether Margot Robbie's goals will be to get her dream house and to find Ken, or if it will be to put on the helmet and be an astronaut and all those other cool. It's a pretty strange concept. I mean, I think this is one of these things that's going to be either a huge hit or a colossal miss. I don't think there's going to be anything in between. I think little girls will either absolutely embrace it, or it will dead in the water.
And just to wrap up the show, speaking of dead in the water, because a lot of characters died in this movie, and the scene I'm about to describe involves a lot of death. Granted, a lot of it's off-screen, because it's talking about the blowing up of the Death Star. I don't know if you saw this week.
I did not see this week.
Mark Hamill was interviewed, and they were talking about the filming of the original Star Wars. And when they were filming the scenes in the X-Wings of the finale of Star Wars A New Hope, it's not A New Hope, it's Star Wars, period. I was in the theater at the time, so there. The question was asked, because at the time it was, seeing as it's National Trivia Day, which apparently is January 4th, who knew, do you have any little-known facts to bestow upon us? Mark Hamill said, because of a record heat wave in England when we filmed the original Star Wars, most of the pilots were only wearing the top half of their costume attacking the Death Star wearing shorts.
I'm glad they were wearing shorts at least. I was afraid you were going to go somewhere else with that.
Yeah, I was afraid he was going somewhere else with that too. But, half-naked X-Wing pilots. Sure, why not? You never see them from the waist down anyway. There's too much equipment in the way. And no, not that kind.
Say, Rob, family show, please.
It's called a pilot's yoke. Yeah, that's what that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Ooh.
Anyway, we're not having a record heat wave right now. It's very cold outside, so I recommend staying inside, unless you are going to get out and go see a movie.
Captain, we're losing power in the warp engines. I think we should be leaving now.
I'm gonna go home and sleep with my wife.
And on that unusually harmonious bombshell, it is time to end.
I am very disappointed!
Man, we have a weird job.
It's shameful, but, it's a living.
And like that, he's gone.
Darn, that's the end.